on the signpost downstairs until there's actually on the agenda. No independent councilman can come up and slap something up on the signpost and then hope to bootstrap that to the authority of this council. So if it's duly added to the agenda, at that point in time, the council can order it posted on the signpost.
What happens, though, is that you have the right to bring up an item to the agenda, but you can't take it up at that meeting because it hasn't been posted for 7 days. So now
That's correct. That's correct, but it's got to go in steps. There's nothing on the agenda to act upon, so it's got to get put on the agenda first of all. Once it's put on the agenda, then the council can act, and if that action is to send it to the signpost, then that's the action that the council wants to do, and they can send it to the signpost for that week notice to the public that is necessary. But until this council collectively takes some type of affirmative action to do that, there's nothing to put on the signpost.
Well, the question I have then, putting it on the signpost then puts it forward to the next meeting.
Yes, absolutely. Now, that next meeting doesn't have to be a regular meeting. That next meeting could be on the 8th day following the posting as a special meeting. But that's up to the council.
Okay.
Thank
you. Are there other questions for the town attorney, Ms. Manis?
About 2 weeks ago, 2 resolutions came out of Roosevelt. Well, 1 resolution and 1 letter. We made a motion to have a letter written by one of the members and forwarded to both the mayor and the town attorney's office regarding purchase of property in District 9, 8 and 9, to include into the Roosevelt Forest. One of the people on the commissioners said that her constituents were interested. We voted to let her go ahead with that. I wanted to know if that letter had been received. And also the second part is the resolution that was passed regarding the the trapping of beavers to cease, and that we were looking into water leveling, and that we were going to follow the code from now on. And I was wondering if that resolution passed through your office and was going to make it to us.
Councilwoman, I have not seen the letter regarding the property. Do you have an address that might help me?
No, if she may not have written it yet. I was just wondering, because we didn't see any of these items come forward on the agenda. We didn't know if there was something holding them up.
I will look into it. I don't recall seeing it, and I'm aware of the resolution of the Roosevelt Forest Commission regarding trapping.
Okay.
But I haven't actually seen the written, but I'll follow up.
The other question I have has to do with that resolution, because within the resolution it quoted the code, which specifically says that in order to trap, you need the recommendation of the Roosevelt Forest Commission, which the mayor said he follows the recommendation, but you also needed the approval of the town council, and that didn't happen. So I'm wondering why you gave the recommendation to the Conservation Commissioner to begin trapping if indeed you were not following the code that stated that the town council needed to approve it first.
Well, I'm not aware of that provision. We actually were asked to follow up with the state DEP, and we provided the opinion regarding what the state DEP requires as far as trapping goes.
It was just a question from the commission, because it's in the resolution, right, Mr. Long? It's in the resolution coming forward. Please take a look at it, because it says specifically recommendation, then it moves to any town council committees, and then it moves to town council, and then it moves to the mayor.
Is that the new resolution?
The resolution is there, but it quotes verbatim. I think it's 15.2-2 or something.
It cites the council code sections or the town charter sections.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, we'll take a look at it.
We'll follow up with Bob David, who's the chairman of the Roosevelt Forest Commission, and get that information over to yourselves and Chairwoman DePonte.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, Mr. Dumas?
Several meetings ago, I asked if the town attorney could provide an opinion on whether or not Mr. Henrik was eligible to run for the zoning seat pursuant to Section 32(1) of the town code. I don't know if the town attorney has an opportunity to look into that, or when we should anticipate an answer. If not,
Make sure you have an answer Make sure you have an answer, if not tomorrow, then Wednesday.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, then I just want to ask a brief question. In our executive session last month about the Short Beach restaurant, we had hoped to have progress there, and I'm sorry, I had problems hearing what the progress was in terms of the Short Beach restaurant.
My understanding is that Attorney Jackson forwarded the last offer from the council, and that is working on resolving it.
Okay, do you... Go ahead. No, Mr. Young, please.
The whole point of doing that was so that they could get their liquor license and pushing us to have it done by that Friday.
Right.
And why isn't it done?
Right.
If that was the case.
Second.
Well, it may well be done. I understood that they're actually waiting for, I think, Mo to finish up with the restaurant. I mean, Bruce seemed very satisfied that it was done.
No. Yeah, no, they're working on it. I've looked at it, so. But I was just wondering, they rushed us along to make a decision on this because they had to get their permits in.
Right. Absolutely. And it is golf season,
Okay, Ms. Manis?
seemingly.
What point of information on that? Was that the Seuss breakfast? And I asked about it. That liquor commission only meets at certain times, if I'm not mistaken. And then if you miss the timing, you have to wait. So I think that that might be part of it. And I had heard rumor July 1st for an opening. Is that accurate? I heard that from one of the investors. Is that correct? Have you heard anything like that?
I don't know of the date.
Attorney Jackson?
Okay.
I thought that's what we were talking about,
Yeah.
Sure.
right? That was Attorney Jackson knows all this stuff.
The
I don't know
investors are saying July
why
1st.
we-
That was on the agenda.
Yeah. What will happen?
I don't know. I really don't know. It was put on the agenda so we could make sure this got done, and now I'm just totally unclear about where we are with this.
Mr. Ponte?
Well, once we
wait.
passed that, once we said, he said there's no business to furnish on that item, and then we moved on the agenda, and he left. So, my fault. I said, okay, those are his two items, and I didn't know it would come up in the town attorney report.
Okay, Ms. Manis?
Mr. Reel, I guess is his name, Matthew, from Trumbull. He's one of the investors in this. I just spoke with him yesterday, and that's where I got that date. And so I'm assuming they haven't backed out and left. Like, he was very excited to talk about the restaurant and spoke with me. That's not official, but it seems like things are underway, and they've spoken to the mayor. I don't know if the mayor has any additional information. He said that they're in conversations with you and they're planning. So is that accurate?
Yeah, as far as the construction process, I was there last week. The sheetrock was up. They had a coat of primer on it. They were confident they were going to be able to finish within the next couple of weeks, and then the prospective tenant was going to be able to start ordering his supplies and getting his materials inside. So they still have to hook up the equipment. The hood and the fire suppression system still needs to be installed. So there is a lot of progress I've seen over the last 2 weeks, and I know that the prospective tenant is very excited about what's going on there.
They seem very happy with
Yes.
whatever you're doing.
They are.
You know, they didn't say Mayor Harkins isn't doing this or whatever. They were overjoyed.
Well, why would they ever say that? Of course they're very happy. They're dealing with the town of Stratford. It's a very positive thing here. But they are looking forward to going in there. I know that for a fact.
Okay. Can we get a written report from the town attorney's office this week on the status of that?
Yes.
And sent to the entire council, please? Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions to the town attorney? If not, let's move on to questions to mayor or staff. Yes, Mr. Dumas?
Mr. Mayor, this is an issue that raised at the last meeting, but when you had your budget proposal for the last fiscal year, you had said that you were going to offer 2% cuts across the board and 2 furlough days from the non-bargaining unit members. Has that happened? Have we had those furlough days?
No, that has not happened. We made the adjustments that the council has approved. We were unable to get to the unions to ask for the similar furlough days. There were suggestions that we had put forward. This budget year is now coming to a close, and we're working on the current budget right now.
So you're not willing to give up a couple days for the non-bargaining unit employees to maybe have us actually get a little closer to having a balanced budget?
So you're talking about 30 employees that can do furlough days. We're still winding down the budget. We're looking at our tax revenues that are coming in. So we're constantly monitoring the budget situation our current year. particularly after we've finished our proposed budget. So we'll continue to monitor that throughout the rest of the year.
Other questions to the mayor? Ms. Manis?
Hey, Mayor Harkins. We had a constituent come up today and speak about the, and actually it's been a very intense discussion on Facebook too, regarding the public safety director. Larry, I love you, but the initiation of that position, the payment of that position, the need for that position, why is it there? Was it there under Myron? No, it was created. Where is it being paid from? Why is it there? So if you could just put on the record for all the folks sitting at home why that position exists, what the purpose is, and how it's being paid, and what do you foresee the need for it?
Well, I think we've already had this discussion in past meetings. It's a position that's in the charter that was approved by the people of Stratford. I will defer to the town attorneys as far as the employment status. So if you could, Chris, and reiterate the conversation we had last time.
Well, the issue had come before us that Mr. Ciccarelli had been hired as a consultant pursuant to a consulting agreement, and when he was appointed as Director of Public Safety in January, the question was raised, shouldn't we be paying him wages so that withholding taxes could be taken out? I thought that was the best way to go under the IRS rules, so I thought that him becoming a part-time employee would be best. I sent the chair an opinion today regarding the part-time status and identified the account that he was being paid out of, which escapes me right now, accounts.
It was anticipated expense, but I had asked in return, that's what a consultant can come out of, but if he's an employee, I had asked in return what that account is, since there was no money allocated to his salary.
Right, and I wanted to talk to the finance director about what account the employee would be paid out of.
Okay. Other questions to the mayor or staff? Yes, Mr. Kadim?
Yes. First of all, how are you, Yana?
What's that?
How are you, Yana?
How are you? I'm doing great. How are you?
All right, it's good to see you. It's good to see you.
Here it comes.
No, I mean, first things first, I just have to address you.
I love you, Wally.
I love you too, brother. And publicly thank you for, because I mean, a lot of you guys may not know, all we see is the outcome of what happens when the mayor makes a decision. But a lot of times, favorable or not, he's recognized for doing good things. And I was honored to go to the Rotary Clubs honoring our mayor, and I enjoyed being there. And I just wanted to thank him publicly. But, withstanding, there's a lot of things that's going on with the budget these days, and it's really, really surprising to me, the whole mill rate thing going up. Now, I don't really see all of this as something that's going to help the town grow. Same thing with the budget for the Board of Ed going up so high. I mean, even the governor's cutting things down. So, I mean, I don't understand why we keep adding money in a time of deficit. We have to really have a better connection with your office and all the people underneath you, so we have a better, clear understanding of why this keeps happening. I mean, there's no reason to raise anything. This is not supposed to be anything there to raise because of the fact that the governor, which we're underneath, is cutting his budget. Why are we adding to our budget? We have to stop that. I mean, soon you ain't gonna be able to live here. I know a lot of people personally that I know from reffing basketball moved out of the town because the taxes just keep going up. It's outrageous. We have to stop the insanity. We can't keep doing that.
And you're going to have public hearings in the budget, and of course you're doing some workshops, and I know that Chris Timniak has offered to meet with you individually and have you come and answer any of your questions. If you give him your questions ahead of time, if it requires a lot of research, he'll accommodate you. And I think the public hearing process is going to be helpful. But the good news is that the town is doing well on the municipal side. Our fire departments and ISO 2, crime has been down 3 years in a row. EMS call volume is up. Our health department was just nationally accredited. I mean, we've done a lot. Our parks are great. We're finally fixing our infrastructure. Economic development is killing it. We're bringing businesses in. We were just cited at a Pace Law School in Westchester County. We're doing the right things despite the fact that we're in a state that, quite frankly, isn't competitive and a region that's not competitive. Our Board of Ed, in a bipartisan vote, addressed some of the needs on our school system. And as anyone knows, it's also important to have a good education in a town, particularly for resale value for your property, but also would attract young families. And I think that we've done such a good job on a local level of fixing municipal government, making it work where taxpayers are finally receiving the benefits they deserve because they're paying for it. I think if we focus together as a community, we can fix our education system and make it better. And the superintendent came out with a 7.33 proposed budget. Our Board of Ed came out with a 8% on a bipartisan vote. We came in at 7.4, which is between, because they're there every day dealing with the kids, trying to help them and telling us what their needs are. So we made the proposal. I budget's on the table. You folks get to look at it, ask the questions, have the public hearings, and make a decision which way you feel the town goes. But you're right, Wally. There's a lot of concern out there, and I feel it too. The good news is that this town is doing very well, and we've come a long way.
Yeah, I think if the town is doing very well, we need to roll back some things and give the taxpayer back some money. Because if we're doing so well, let's give it up.
That's what we've been trying to do.
Say it again.
That's what we've been trying to do, and one of the ways to do that is to grow our tax base, which we have been doing on the commercial side. I mean,
as this is something always, because if it's something new to you, you're learning a new thing. Like being on so many different committees, I'm learning so much. And the fact that we're building so many houses, so many condos, which is, I don't even understand why, but there's businesses coming in as well. How much can the water treatment plant handle? Where's all that money coming from for those people who are moving into these new condos and so forth? And in fact, on Hamilton Street, they're trying to put 10 units there, which definitely only calls for 2. I mean, we got to have a control. Like if you already have a zoning board and it already called for 2, why should we even address any change from that in terms of you listening to the appeal of someone coming to the zoning board and say, hey, I want to put 10 there. Can I do it? Well, actually, no. It's a flooding area on Hamilton. No one really cares about it. You know, on April 21st, I'm having a meeting in my district, 3rd District, at the Bird's Eye Complex. I hope everyone comes out so that we can do something about this situation, because you can't, like there's 44 or 42 units going off of Main Street, Chair? Is that the number?
It was proposed. It was approved. I'm not so sure that development may look that way in the upcoming years.
Okay.
But you know but when someone comes in on the affordable housing statutes and tries to get approval for affordable housing, they can usurp local zoning laws in order to get a higher density development. So that development's a lot different than, say, the Harts Corner development, where it's not affordable housing, it's market. Avalon Bay is affordable, which Avalon is now one of our top 10 taxpayers in the town of Stratford. So you're going to a complicated area as far as land use and zoning, and those are all good comments and questions, and I think as a community we have to decide what should be residential, what should be commercial, and what kind of density we want. But as far as the affordable housing statute, that's something that's a state issue.
Because what I'm saying is that kind of explosion of more houses, more apartments, more condos, it really changes the quality of life for every taxpayer in this town. I mean, even on my block, I mean, it went from one thing in the back of my property. You have this company there making noise all the time. I mean, like that changed. That wasn't there when I first moved there. So where was it discussed or brought up to where it should be there to begin with? So I'm not saying anything about my property. I'm speaking about other people's property because I'm stuck. So no problem.
So I think the challenge, and this is part of the Smart Growth Initiative, Stanford, Norwalk, Milford, Stratford now. But development's happening around train stations because that's where the millennials want to live. I mean, they don't want to own cars. They want to commute to work or you know, to go out and for entertainment purposes. But there's a whole new dynamic that's occurring here that's different than what we've seen in the last 20, 30 years. But that's part of where the market's going.
I understand that because I see something, just one more point, and I'll leave it alone. Thank you very much. Right on Stratford Ave, they have that new place where Keaton Ford used to be, all of those big things up there, and then around the corner down from there is where Hamilton want to build more. It's just too much. It's a glut. It's too many things they're building. We need to put a line on that and stop doing this because it's really changing the whole community. It's sad. So many people have been here long before me. I've only been here 18 years, but people have been here 30, 40, 50 years. They love their community, and they're disgusted by a lot of this stuff that's going on, this building. That's not capital improvement. That's not what we mean. When we say capital improvement, we're talking about businesses who's going to hire people to work so people can have jobs. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, thank you.
We got to do that.
Ms. Manis is next.
I have a question to go along with that, and then a comment. When I sent information to both you and Ms. Kaiser in economic development about smart growth, Stanford got that grant. I want to know, did we apply? Did we try for it?
Yeah, it came through the region, actually, to the planning agency in Bridgeport.
Okay, so we did get some of it?
Yeah, we got $200,000. That's going to be, that whole study is going to be a grant funded by OPM.
Okay, because we weren't listed, Stanford was, but I I was in Honolulu and all these other places. The second part is, and I want to address Mr. Kadim's comments to you, with regards to budgeting and money, and with regards to education. Money doesn't solve every problem. We know that as educators. You can throw tens of thousands of dollars at me in a classroom, but if it's nothing of what I need, then I can't make it happen. And I like that you're talking to the teachers. But on the other hand, I'm reminded of what happened in my high school. The field house, the lights, the Bunnell stage group, the band marching uniforms, and everything else that happened at Bunnell happened without a dime. Those things were raised by people and parents and children coming together, and they still are. And so I wonder where the community element and how we're going to continue to build it. I know the PTAs are growing again at the high schools, and the different elements are growing together, but we can't just continue to think that money's going to solve education woes. And I hope that we're branching out, and that you're branching out to all those other communities as well, and trying to figure out what they can do to kind of enrich the environment. So some of that stuff, it's not just all about money, right?
I agree with you, and I think this is a good opportunity right now to get behind the Board of Ed. And you're right, it's not just money, it's mentoring, it's volunteerism, it's supporting your PTAs, it's parent participation.
Yes.
It's all the above. And is it what it should be in some areas? No, but I think we can build off it. As far as the finances are concerned, what I said earlier about, we fix the municipal side. And I think as a community, if we focus on education, we can fix that too and make it better. I'm confident that we can, but we have to do it together.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Dumas?
Mr. Mayor, I have, two brief Raymark questions. One, whether you could give us any update beyond what was in the press about the fire at the ball field. And two, the EPA was here back in, I believe, December, and had indicated that they would have their proposal out by now. Whether you've received any update from the EPA or of any other information regarding those plans.
My understanding about the fire, is Larry Ciccarelli here? Larry was actually there on site. I'd rather have him give the report.
Homeless guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. There was a fire adjacent to the Public Works at the Daily Construction site, adjacent to a Superfund site, Raymark. It started from we believe it's from a vagrant that was living in the building that was either starting a fire for cooking or having a fire for warmth. That became a multiple alarm fire. The concern wasn't to save those buildings that were there. They were dilapidated. The concern was, to identify and make sure we had the vagrant to protect the human life, which we were able to do with very minor injuries to smoke inhalation. But the other major problem was the concern to the Public Works building themselves. There was some debris and some ambers that had blown over towards the Public Works buildings, and there's a little lean-to shed adjacent to the maintenance building that did catch fire. There was also concern with the buildings, the roofs themselves. So fortunate enough with the ladder trucks, with the extension of ladder trucks, we were able to go out horizontally onto the buildings in the Daily Construction site to put out that fire, as well as to water the roofs on the Public Works building to keep them from going up. The time of the fire was a little bit over an hour until it was under control, and all fire was out within 3 hours.
Okay, thank you.
Who did you say was a vagrant? What was the vagrant?
There was a vagrant living in the building. I don't have the individual's name.
And no asbestos.
Okay.
There's none. No, we checked with, in fact, I had Deep out there today to validate that. Yes, the air quality is fine.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Let's,
Okay, just one more,
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Go
On the Raymark waste, we were told by the EPA within 45 days they're going to come out with that comprehensive plan.
Thank you, Mayor.
So get ready.
okay, thank you. Let's make our questions very pointed.
One very pointed,
Yes.
very pointed. And back to the Board of Ed and Education. Now, this is something that I've noticed in the short time I've been here, like I said, 18 years. My oldest son graduated from Stratford High. My youngest son is graduating from Worcester Middle School. Now, in all the years I've been here, I noticed, because tonight they have the Board of Ed meeting, yes? Just want to be clear, because I know there's a conflict where I can't go to the meeting, so I'm not able to speak because I'm here. So I'm supposed to be here, but I can't be two places. So that's a bad thing, because the Board of Ed is lacking. I'm just being honest, because they need to hear. I don't know who goes to the meetings because I'm not there to see them. I have to read the minutes anyway. The fact that, of course, I'm African American. My children are. There's a separation with the African American children and the European teachers. So you have the African American children who have a different culture, different lifestyle, sometimes economic home life is a little different in scale. So first things first, we cannot know each other's culture until we actually be around each other. But more to the point, I haven't seen any Latino or African American teachers in our town. If there are some, fine, no problem. But where are they? My children never had any. So I'm saying all of these years, you have African American and Latinos and all islanders come here, but there's no teachers that can reflect what they look like and maybe understand what their background is, so they can understand some of these things. Where you would write a kid up or put them in jail for something, you would say, okay, that's just something that they do. Let me just talk to them or have a parent come in. So that has to be fixed. This whole education system, my son had a very bad experience at Stratford High. My son, that's Amir, the singer, actor, writer, performer. The young one, Wally, had a very bad experience in Johnson House, where the teacher was just giving him the business constantly. He came home crying a lot. No, listen, you got to hear this, because we got to fix this. If we're talking about moving forward, but we ain't addressing what's going on right now, then we ain't going to never move. Because African American people and Latinos and Islanders are here now. So we need to put people here that reflect what the town looked like. And you have to address that. Maybe you can do it. You know the Board of Ed people, but it has to get done, because this can't continue to happen. It really can't. I mean, it has to be straightened out, please. It's something to think about and something to do.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Kadim. Mr. Hardin.
Two things. I totally agree with Mr. Kadim about the dynamics of being culturally equal. My grandmother was an English teacher in Stratford High for 32 years. And after she retired and the others before her, there was no one that, certain individuals could relate to. So again, I want to know, with the Board of Ed asking for money, and is the money going towards hiring more people, or is it going towards education? And sometimes you're intimidated to say things about the education, because as soon as you say don't give the Board of Ed money, people look at you as if you're the worst thing that could ever walk the face of the earth. But I also know that there is no accountability. Being a councilman of this town, I've run against a lot of things that I would be considered unfriendly, like behaviors from people, being the councilman of the 4th District, mayor not having department heads answer to me or return phone calls, one being Public Works, and I won't go to the other departments. It's disturbing to me, where there are some other councilmen that will call and get responses really quickly. So I'm asking you to address not only doing something to get minority teachers in the town of Stratford, so there is some level of comfortability with the students, but also have some talking to with the administrative heads of the departments that we have within this town about, responding to us in a timely manner, fashionable manner, and a manner of respect. I had someone tell me that they didn't have to answer to me because I was not their immediate supervisor. People talk about their districts, and I'm going to tell you this. I am very disheartened about the pushback that I've gotten from department heads in this town. I am very disheartened about some of the responses I receive from some of the department heads in this town. And I remember years ago coming to your office and talking about issues revolving EMS. And you made this comment, 2 comments, and I don't know if you remember this. You told me that you were tired of talking about EMS and that you would not do it. You would not talk to me regarding that. And the second thing that you said to me is that you don't micromanage. And my response to you is that sometimes I question what you manage and how you manage it. And we have sat here and we've expressed our concerns, and it's falling on deaf ears. In order for us to do our job properly and effectively, we need the support of the department heads and the town itself. Else we can't do it. And we continue, I'm not speaking for everyone, but I continue to get pushback. So when people come to me and tell me things are not getting done, and people are concerned about other things, I'm being dismounted. And I can't be productive with this resistance that's being pushed towards me.
So is that a question or is that a statement?
Well, I'm stating.
All right. First of all, I'm a little surprised at the way you stated it, and I'll tell you why. You had asked last meeting to come in and speak to me, and I said absolutely. I didn't hear from you, and I kept asking Mark Dillon. David Hardin called you. David Hardin. I talked to Maurice McCarthy last week. I believe you're supposed to meet with him about a light in the park, and you never showed up to the meeting. But he made a point of being there. Now, hang on.
Okay.
Those are my only incidents that I'm aware of. I've told you in the past, if you have an issue or a concern, to go through our office so we can hold the department heads accountable. If I don't hear, I don't know. And when I say I don't micromanage, I don't. I never have. But I do have meetings with staff, and I meet with public safety once a week. We have director meetings, sometimes larger meetings with supervisors. But there is a lot of communication going on. And if something's not happening or you're unhappy with something in your district, feel free to call me. You know that. And I've always made that available to you.
If I may respond to you, I had actually called Mo McCarthy on 3 occasions, and I don't have my calendar in front of me, and yes, we were supposed to meet. I made an attempt. I spoke with Diane to let her know that I was not able to make the meeting because I was here doing something else with the town clerk's office, getting my paperwork in line to terminate my account that I had. The second thing is that your office did contact me, I believe, last week, and asked me if I wanted to meet with you. At that time, the issues that I had, which I expressed to the gentleman who called me, they were already solved.
Okay.
And I did express that to him.
Okay, good.
So I want to quickly respond to you.
Okay, but you can always give me a call. You know that. And I've always offered that to you.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Manis.
Hi. So on April 16th, I drove by today and saw the poster outside where the temple Beth Shalom was, years and years. Lots of plays there I did. It's now a different church. There will be, there's a discussion on racism. And one of the pastors is doing it. And I said, wow, I hope people from our town are going to go and really have a courageous conversation. Because that's what you're all talking about, and there's tons of research around this. And I think that it's not your fault, Mayor. And the frustration that you with not having minority teachers, there are none. They're hard to find. And you have Miss Armistead at Chapel, who is the leader.
My wife is a teacher.
I know, but
They're not that hard to find.
I'm just saying they're hard to find. And we're recruiting, in my own school system, we're looking to recruit. And it's very, very difficult to find. There's tons of money usually spent in minority recruitment at the state level, and that's just a difficult thing to find teachers. But I agree with you that you need people that look like you, but not just in schools, in politics,
Ms.
in government.
Manis, can I ask, is there a question for the mayor or
I
his
do.
staff?
My question for you is that, are you going to be at that April 16th meeting? I would hope you would say yes. I'm inviting you. And that, do you understand the concerns that they're bringing forward?
Yeah, I am now because they brought it up, and I would encourage them to express their concerns to the Board of Ed and their elected members and to the superintendent. But as far as the date, I have to check my calendar and see if it's open.
And just stay open.
Mr.
Thanks.
Chase,
Yeah. If you allow, I'm going to digress for a moment.
please.
1962, I was in 6th grade at Eli Whitney School, and one of the best teachers I had was my 6th grade teacher, Mr. Squire, who was an African American. My swim coach at Stratford High was Pedro Tegatak. He was also a math teacher. He was of Hispanic descent. And the best science teacher I ever had was Mr. Smith. In fact, your mom may know him, biology teacher at Bunnell High School. So I don't know what it's like today, to be honest with you. I haven't toured the schools. I don't know how many minority teachers we have, but in my day, they were there. and hopefully we'll get back there. Secondly, Mr. Mayor, I just want to say that the few times that I've needed your assistance for constituent issues, you were very prompt in responding, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, Councilman Chase.
Okay, thank you. If there aren't any other questions, I'd like to move on to unfinished business and/or old business, starting with the Stratford Army Engine Plant. I'd like to ask the mayor if he has a report on this to share with us. Any news?
Well, we're still waiting to hear from Army Corps. As soon as we do, we will convey any news to the town council and yourself.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, now let's move on to committee appointments. Beautification Committee. Mr. Young, do you have a nomination to make?
I want to nominate Maria Ferrara.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second for that nomination?
Second.
For Ms. Ferreira. The nomination is Maria Ferreira. There's a second. Discussion?
Right?
Discussion.
I gave you a name, Sylvia, for that, right? Beautification.
The nomination.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
The Beautification Committee is the committee that I am assigned to, and they were my first choice. One of the things that they've expressed is that people that are placed onto the Beautification Committee, they would like an opportunity to speak with them and at least explain what they do. Is that okay? One of the things that they do is they do a lot of planting, garden work, and hands-on. And they look for people within the districts who want to take on that hands-on work. And I think we've had a lot of movement on and off of the Beautification Committee, so I want to make sure that Ms. Ferrer understands the commitment there and that she has an opportunity to meet with the Beautification Committee. I just want to make sure that she knows what she's getting into and that she's seen our beautiful poster outside and really seen that they do work very hard.
Okay, I can assure that she is very excited about it and knows their work.
Oh, Sylvia Martin's part. Martin.
Okay, yes, Mr. Dumas.
I don't honestly know much about her in terms of her qualifications, whether she'd do a good job. We didn't get a resume or an application that I'm aware of. As I had indicated at the last meeting, it would be nice to get those before meetings so we can know about somebody before we're voting on them. And maybe if we need to do some background research, we can. So if I'll listen to other people, but if I end up voting no, it's not because I have any objection to her. It's simply because I didn't receive that information, which customarily the council has received before this council in the past, and that's information that I think we should receive before we vote on an appointment.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, there was a motion made. There was a second to the motion. All in favor of appointing Ms. Maria Ferreira to beautification, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
No.
Okay. Motion passes 8-2.
Also,
Okay, Mr. Kadim.
yeah, also on the Beautification Committee, you have a young lady named Sylvia Martin, lives in my district. She's very attentive to her community. She's very nice in the community. I hope that you guys see favorable. She live on Wooden Road. She's a good lady there, so I hope you guys see favorable on her.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to Mr. Kadim's nomination?
Second.
Okay. Discussion?
I have a point of information. There was a note that was passed back and forth. Was that what this was about?
No. He was telling me the name of the young lady that was running. I didn't hear her, so she just made me understand a little better without screaming to everybody else. Just to let you know it was on the note.
Madam
Mayor,
Chair.
pass this to him. He wants to see the note. Yes.
Once again, and I just want to clarify, it's nothing against the people who are running, and I'm sure that they're absolutely qualified. I agree with Mr. Dumas about the resumes, but more importantly, this Beautification Committee wants to vet their members, or at least have the opportunity to meet them beforehand. So unless that happens, I'm going to be voting no on any appointments going forward, because it does create an enormous amount of conflict within the group, with their role and what they want to do and what they have going forward and what they've already been doing in our town.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to, that's ridiculous. No offense. But you're going to have, committee members vetting another committee member?
Yeah, right.
That's what they...
Yeah, why stop there? Why don't you do it for every committee? And I'm being facetious. You might agree to that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Harden?
I just want to say that my wife, who is a member of the Beautification Committee, was not welcomed well. There were some ladies who vented their frustration of her being a part of it, and they did not hide the fact that they were frustrated, and it made my wife very uncomfortable. And so I just wanted to put that on record. So I'm concerned about the cross-contamination of people coming in, and my wife was very eager and excited and does have experience with a host of things and has several certificates and degrees. And so I was offended not only as a councilman, but I was very hurt that, they made my wife feel very uncomfortable.
Thank you. I just want to point out that these committees are committees of the town council, and I would hope that all volunteers are welcomed, since people are volunteering. Yes, Mr. Dumas.
This is more of a point of information than a comment. I don't know whether we're keeping check of the party registration of these members. Personally, I don't care what party somebody is on these committees, but there is a state statute that mandates that one party doesn't have too large of a majority on committees, and that's one way that this General Assembly has tried to make things a little more diverse in their own way. And I don't know, without seeing these people's applications, I don't know whether we're complying with that statute. I don't know whether that was addressed by somebody, and that the application that historically has been filled out by people does have party registration on it, and that's why, so that people can know whether or not we're complying with what they refer to as the minority representation statute, but that only means that one party doesn't have too much of a control. So I don't even know with either of these individuals whether we're running into that issue. We may not be, but that's something that it's our job to make sure we comply with that statute. And I'd like to know whether we're even looking into that. The haphazard way in which we're handling appointments is not necessarily paying due respect to that statute.
Yes, Ms. Manis.
With response to Mr. Dumas, I think it's very difficult to find volunteers who have the time to give to our town. And when people come forward, I agree with Mr. Harden. They should be welcomed with open arms and some balloons. And thank you so much for coming forward. And I share some of his concerns, but I also know that the frustrations stem from, certain things are committees, some things are commissions, some things are this and that. There's an unclarity. My first meeting with this group, I spent doing a organizational chart for the town and explaining who contacts who and what the hierarchy is. And then Mr. Ciccarelli was nice enough to come with Mr. Bendecki. They came, they sat with the group, and they explained things, and the education helped. But I think what Mr. Dumas is talking about with those kind of committee arrangements, and if those things exist, and we've seen it with I've gotten other emails from other commissions. If people had that information, I don't know if we could do something online, or if we could do a group training, kind of like we did FOI, to kind of explain to people, because it was news to a lot of people that the committees go away with the council, and that even the fact that we're all still constituted was an awesome thing. So all of that information has kind of been lost in the sauce, and I don't know how we can educate people, but I think if we don't, we're going to end up having comments like what Mr. Harden said from going forward.
Okay, thank you. We're discussing the nomination. I just want to ask. Yes.
Is Mr. Kadim's, the conversation's going all over the place. Is Mr. Kadim's nominee Sylvia, I never got the last name?
Martin.
Is his nominee what we're talking about now? Did somebody second it?
Yes, I hope so.
Yes. Somebody seconded? I move the question.
Okay, all in favor of appointing Ms. Martin to beautification, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
No.
Okay, the motion passes 8-2. Public Safety Committee I don't know if there are any nominations for that. Mr. Kadim, did you have one in mind? Not yet? Public Safety?
The public, no. What happened is that I think we spoke a little brief about it, about me being on there, because
No, that's different.
That's something different.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
Okay. Building needs, I'd like to table that. Okay.
Make a motion to table.
Okay, thank you. Second, all in favor of tabling?
Aye.
Okay. Finance and Claims Committee, I'd like a motion to table that.
I make a motion to move. I move to table.
Okay, thank you. Second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The tabled items now, Tax Partnership Screening Committee, I'm sorry. Is there a motion to take that off the table?
No.
No? Okay.
There's no
That's
report.
enough. There's no report. Okay, fine. Tabled ordinances and resolutions, none. Tabled appointments. Stratford Housing Partnership Committee, I'd like to keep that on the table if that's okay. Commission on Aging, are we keeping that on the table, Mr. Chase?
Yes, Madam Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Sikorsky Memorial Airport Noise Abatement Committee. There are two. What the heck? The Sikorsky Memorial Airport Noise Abatement Committee.
If I may,
Mr.
Madam
Harden?
Chair, I'd like to, Mr. Jerry Silver. And the second one would be Richard Diedrichson.
Okay, the nominations are Mr. Jerry Silver and Mr. Richard Diedrichson.
Madam Chairman, do you have to entertain a motion to remove this from the table?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, can I have a motion to take this off the table first?
I would like to have a motion to take it off the table.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of taking this off the table?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Now, Mr. Harden?
No.
Okay, so that the motion to take it off the table passes 9-1.
I would like to nominate Mr. Jerry Silver and Richard Diedrichson for the Sikorsky Memorial Airport Noise Abatement Committee.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second for that?
I second that.
Okay. Discussion?
Madam Chair, are
Yes.
those both members from the Lordship section of Stratford?
They both are.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Madam Chairman, just to point out that Mr. Dixon was the gentleman who swore us in December.
Okay, thank you. I just want to point out that this is this is just getting this committee started, okay? And there's an interest in Lordship to have a way of having a rapport with the airport. Okay, yes, Ms. Manis?
I just have a point of clarification. I don't want to sound really dumb here, but is this fencing or noise abatement with the air? Are we going to try to tell the airport what to do? Like, I don't understand. What are we doing with this committee? Like, why does this committee exist? What is it makes suggestions to?
It's a way of having a rapport with
Because we don't
the people
own,
at the airport.
Because
Yep.
we're not, Sikorsky, we gave it away, right? So we're not.
Bridgeport owns the airport.
So just for the record, I'm glad you brought this up. The town of Stratford never owned the airport, ever. We never owned it.
Right.
We're never in that business. I know people had for some reason, there's this idea or notion that we own the airport and we sold it. We never owned it. We never operated an airport. We never named it. The city of Bridgeport owns it.
So
Yes.
we're not telling people what to do and when to fly planes.
They can make recommendations. They can bring them forward to the airport commission where they can
Got it.
resolve the issue.
Exactly. Okay. Any other discussion on these nominations?
I'll keep this brief. It's repeating my previous discussions regarding properly vetting these, knowing who these people are beforehand, and that we're complying with all the applicable state statutes. My vote of no is not a vote against these people. It's a vote against the process.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Okay, motion passes 9-1. Ethics Commission, these are 4-year terms. Okay, Mr.
Take it
Young?
off the table.
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor of taking this off the table?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, thank you.
Madam Chairman?
Oh, that motion to take it off the table passes 10-0.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Young?
I move to appoint, do we go through each name?
I'm sorry?
Go to each name?
Yes.
Move to appoint Thomas Kowalik, Susan Burge, Robert Chimini, Janice Anderson, and Bruce Hawley to membership, and we don't have alternates, right?
Right,
So
now.
I move to bring them in as members.
Okay, is there a second?
Madam,
Yes,
I-
Mr. Chase?
yeah, Madam Chairman, I second it, and I have a question.
So the motion's been seconded.
Right.
Discussion?
Thank you.
Mr. Chase?
Janice Anderson.
Yes.
Well, my first question is, and this may ultimately wind up going to the town attorney, we're supposed to post this in a newspaper, website, as requesting
We did.
names. Was this in a newspaper? It wasn't a newspaper. Great. It was?
I'd like to turn over to Ms. Cabral so she can inform the council of the efforts to get applications for this.
I did send it to the paper.
Okay. Thank you.
I have it online.
No, it's fine.
Letters were sent to churches also.
Okay. Just,
Letters were sent to churches requesting nominations for the Ethics Commission. Okay, we went through all of the steps that it
great.
says.
I just wanted to make sure we were following the procedure because this is an important commission. My next question has to do with Janice Anderson. Is she an elected official?
No, she's not. Other than being on the Democratic Town Committee, she is not an elected official.
Unfortunately, Madam Chairman, under state statute and under ruling by the Secretary of State, that is an elected position.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Then shall we
So you
withdraw
need
that
to
nomination?
withdraw Janice Anderson.
Okay, so motion to amend.
Motion to amend?
Second.
Okay, to withdraw Ms. Anderson from the Ethics Commission because she sits on the Stratford Democratic Town Committee. Okay.
I move the question.
No, before you should have any discussion on the amendment, and then vote on the amendment, and then vote on the item as amended.
Okay.
Please.
Discussion on the amendment?
Yes.
Yes, Ms. Manis?
You're having discussion on whether Ms. Anderson, the amendment.
So
to
would that
delete Ms.
automatically
Anderson-
put Michael Peslak back into the mix?
Who?
No,
Who?
who wants to answer that?
Michael Peslak is the
He
pastor.
would remain a member until his successor, God bless you, is duly elected and qualified.
I have a question about that, too.
Okay.
I move the question.
Okay, so we're voting on the amendment to drop Janice Anderson from the list of people being appointed to the Ethics Commission. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the motion passes 10-0. Okay, now we're back to the
Item as amended.
item as amended. Discussion?
I have a discussion about Michael Peslak because he's a pastor. When I read the information about this Ethics Commission, does there have to be a clergy on the Ethics Commission?
No.
No.
No. Okay.
We did need to do outreach to the churches, though, to not only churches, but to any religious establishments in town,
So he'll just stay on it if we vote now?
until we appoint somebody else, which could be the next meeting. It's not good to have a committee or commission that's even.
4 people,
Yes.
that's why.
Okay? And just for the point of, for information, the 5 were 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats, and 1 unaffiliated, so this would leave 1 Democrat off for the time being. Okay? So any more discussion on the motion as amended? Mr. Duma?
I'll repeat the same point I made. Although I am familiar with some of these people and would actually like to vote yes to them, I haven't seen their qualifications, so,
Okay,
if we divided the question, I would vote yes on one of them because I'm familiar with that person as previously serving on the Ethics Commission. But
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor of appointing the 4 people?
Madam Chair, would you hold 1 second, please?
Yes?
Let me just look at something. Okay, we have to check something quickly here.
What's he checking on?
Stand at ease.
I think he's checking the pastor question.
Do you need a recess, Mr.?
I don't. I just need 60 seconds, a full timeout.
The charter?
I don't see how they're having one.
Madam Chair, while that's being reviewed by council, I would actually like to move to divide the question so that we could vote on each individual person, as I am familiar with the qualifications of one of the nominees.
I'm sorry, stand at ease.
Melvin, did you get that? Melvin.
They did it that way.
They're very sour. Prepare yourself.
You had a pack of Marlboros.
No.
Got a warning label on this thing?
They're very sour. Prepare yourself.
I've got some.
Okay.
Thanks.
Well, if we vote on them, I want to make sure we have the right terms.
Oh my goodness, come on. You? Since frickin'
To be appointed annually. Not term expiration.
I did the fire ops thing today.
Maybe it is okay on this one.
Fantastic. Perfect.
I don't think the term would have expired at that time.
Yeah. I get it.
Ben Hemmer's correct, it's October 31st.
Come on, we're getting so close.
I don't know.
Well, I just didn't find the body. My breathing apparatus was already on red.
Is there a motion to call a recess?
Yeah, motion to recess.
Okay, is there a second?
Aye.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
All the ordinances.
Aye.
Aye.
No.
No.
Just a 5-minute recess.
Well, we could move on, you know,
Body has been dragging them out.
and come back to it.
Did we actually take a vote?
No.
Wait. You can't shut up. And you're wearing all that.
No. Can we clear this up later, Brian?
Literally.
I have it in the direct.
I literally ran out of air just as I pulled the body out of the building.
I have some record.
I had to rip the thing off my
Okay, then what, so what's the question?
breathe.
It's okay? Okay.
Yeah, that was the best.
Okay, we're back to, here, you can tell everybody this. Okay. Okay, all in favor of these appointments? Of the
Madam
four
Chair, I move to
appointments?
divide the question.
Okay, is there a second to dividing the question? Yes, Ms. Manis?
Can I respond to Mr. Jamal?
Is there a second for dividing the question? No? Okay, there's no second. Okay, let me call the question, the 4 appointments together. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
No.
Okay, the motion to appoint an ethics committee passes with 9 people in favor and Mr. Dumas opposed. Okay, Short Beach Commission.
Can we leave it on the table?
Second.
What are we leaving on the table?
Short Beach Commission.
An item will remain on the table unless and until there's a motion to remove it from the table. So
Okay,
if
is
no
there a
one-
motion to take Short Beach Commission off the table?
Madam Chairman, I move to remove this from the table.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second? Okay, all in favor of taking this from the table?
Aye.
Aye. All
Aye.
opposed?
No.
Okay, so that passes 9-1.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
be it resolved that Patricia Clark Sperling, Scott Barksdale, David Panzak be and are hereby appointed members of the Short Beach Commission.
Okay, is there a second to that?
I second.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I move to divide the question when we ultimately vote on it.
Is there a second for dividing?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of dividing the question?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed?
No.
No. Okay, what was
Madam
the
Chair, I'd
vote
ask
on that?
for a
Yes,
roll
I'm doing that,
on
Mr.
that.
Dumas. Go ahead.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
This is on to divide the
To
question?
divide a question means that we would be taking each one of these separately rather than the 3 together.
Yes.
No.
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 Yes.
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 And I vote no, so the motion does not pass. It's 5-5. So all together, so we're taking these all together.
Excuse me,
There-
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
Is this an issue where the mayor could break the tie?
No, you need to have a majority vote to divide the question. The motion failed. You did not have, there was not a majority vote to divide the question.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Is there a discussion yet?
Yes.
So now we're back to discussion of these appointments. Ms. Manis.
Beat you to it. I just wanted to make sure that the people that were appointed, I know I've seen resumes and information from all. However, the people that are currently on the commission have been approached as is tradition to see if they wanted to continue. Has that been done?
Mrs. Chairman, if you don't mind, as the current chairman of the Short Beach Commission, I can respond to Councilwoman Manos. The current commissioners have been approached. 2 of the 3 wish to continue serving. Among those 2 is Mr. Barksdale.